okay, there's a lot going on with this Super League, with the European Super League. I need help. Like, I see all the tweets. I see that it's a really big deal. I don't know why. So please tell me why. What's happening?
Okay. So news broke this weekend that 12 of the biggest soccer clubs in the world have announced their plans to break away and form a so-called Super League. Now, the teams are, at this point, Liverpool, Barcelona, Real Madrid, the Milans, Inter Milan and AC Milan, along with Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur, and Atletico Madrid. Now, they want to add a few more teams, but those are like the main signatories. So the issue is, number one, the structure of the league would be 2 groups of 10, so there'd be a 20-team league, would compete against each other with the top 4 teams advancing to a playoff stage. There would be no relegation. It's a closed league. Now, the basis of world football, you know, particularly European football, which we're talking about, is that it's, in theory, it's an open system. If you and I start a team, right? We'll call it the Knicks Dreams, right? We start our own soccer team, and we start at the very bottom, like the bottom of the football pyramid as a semi-pro amateur team. In theory, the way it works now, you could work your way all the way up. Each time you finish in the top, let's say we win our level 4 league, then we move up to level 3. We win our level 3 league, then we move up again. Next thing you know, we're in the Premier League, which is basically the top pro league in England. And from there, if you finish in the top, I believe it's 4 spots now, but it might be 3. If you finish in the top spots in the Premier League, then you can play in the Champions League, which is the cream of the crop teams in Europe. This new league would, one, compete directly with the Champions League, because you're taking the premier clubs that would be competing in that Champions League and having them compete in their own closed league. And you're closing off admission to all the other teams in Europe that might want to come in. They would only be able to come in by invite. So, for instance, I know that the reports have it that the clubs that are involved now would like Borussia Dortmund to come in. They would like Bayern Munich, who won the 2020 Champions League, to be part of it. I'm certain that PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, would like to be a part of it.
So it might seem like this might be obvious, but why are they doing it? Like, so I understand now that you're telling me. So it's basically the top teams of the league were like, I don't want this. I don't want to be a part of this league. I don't want this process. I want to have a closed league with set teams. But is it just for the sheer fact that, like, what is the reason? Is there a reasoning behind it? Is it something the Champions League is doing?
So, okay, that's a good question. So people have said, why is everybody so mad? Like, why is this bad? Yeah. It's bad because, first of all, the driver is primarily money. Let's just be clear about that.
Okay.
Now, Florentino Perez, who is the head of Real Madrid, has said something, I'm paraphrasing now, but something to the effect of, we have a duty to our fans to give them what they want, which is to see the best teams play against each other all the time. The difference with the Champions League is, one, this Super League would just give teams a lot more money. The club that wins the Super League will earn something like 400 million euros, which is almost 4 times as much as a team that wins the Champions League, the current Champions League, would win at 120 million euros. So the amount of money here is just staggering.
Woo, Lord.
Number 1 teams in the Champions League, these teams specifically, they want more control over their league, right? So the Champions League is run by UEFA, which is the European governing body of soccer. And the teams involved in that have to share the money and the payouts with these other smaller clubs that are also involved in the tournament.
So that's the Super problem League, then, is what's really happening. That's the problem. Yes. People don't want to have to... They don't want to have to share the money. If teams feel like they're making a majority of the money, and then they have to spread the money with people that maybe they don't feel are earning their keep. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct. Like they would say Real Madrid, for instance, which has won more Champions Leagues / European Cups than anybody. They would say, why do I have to split money with like Porto, which is one of the most famous teams from Portugal, but certainly a smaller team on the world stage. Now, why are people so mad? Because this would really damage world football as it happens. Certainly, it is probably a death blow to the Champions League if it goes through, because it's a direct competitor, even though teams are saying all the right things like, oh, we want to still uphold, the national leagues, domestic leagues, and the Champions League. This would run parallel to that, right? But if you are the TV network that just signed the Champions League to a deal, you're going to say, okay, well, this isn't what I paid for is devalued now, so my next contract with you is going to be less. And certainly that's going to happen with the domestic leagues too.
Yeah, so this is basically, and I have to always put it in terms of my mind, this is basically like it's going to turn the Champions League almost into the G League. And that's not a slight to the G League, but it's a developmental league that the players of the Champion League will aspire to be on a team on the Super League, because that'll be the league that makes more money, that has all the glitz and glam. It's essentially going to turn the Champions League into a G League if they stay afloat.
That's correct. Now, there are a lot of legal maneuverings that are going on like as we speak. Now, one of the interesting things about this Super League is they've invited, the teams that they invited aren't necessarily the best teams in their respective leagues. They are the most popular. So, for example, if we were going to start an NBA Super League, right? You'd say, okay, it'll be the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bulls, the Knicks, and the Nets, and Miami, and let's say the Hawks, right? So the Knicks have the Knicks are good. You would do that off Population Center, which is kind of like how they're doing it now. Who are these teams that are famous? But the Bulls aren't good. The Knicks aren't good. Arsenal, for instance, would join this Super League and probably get crushed 5-6-0 every single week, but they're being allowed to. They recently went and had a 1-1 tie against Fulham at their own stadium, which is like a very uninspiring result. But they would be part of the Super League because they have so many fans and they have so much cash. So there's also that level to it where it's people are being criticized.
This is an elitist league is what it's sounding like.
It's very elitist. Now, the other aspect to this is over the last 10, 12, 15 years, there's been an influx of American money into world soccer and the Premier League in particular. We know LeBron James, of course, is a co-owner of Liverpool. There's the Glazer family, which made a lot of their money from Walmart, who they are, I believe Walmart, I might be wrong about that. They own Manchester United. Stan Kroenke, who owns the Denver Nuggets, is the owner of Arsenal, on and on and on.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of this American money, as they've come in, one of the things that they don't like about the current system, the English system and the system in world football in most domestic leagues, is they don't like relegation. Relegation is if you finish at the bottom 3 of the league, you go down. So imagine the Knicks come in the bottom of the NBA. They win 17 games or whatever in the NBA. They have to play in the G League next year. That's essentially the system, and it creates intense drama. But for these outside new money businessmen coming in, they look at it and they say, okay, why would I invest $2 billion into a team that could lose and then immediately be worth 80% less than the value that I paid for it? I want a closed system. This is very
European.
Yes, I want a closed system so that no matter what, I don't have a situation where my team is devastated in terms of value. They don't want that.
Okay, this is very, very European. The reason I say that is it's the exact same way in women's basketball. I don't know if people know, but the WNBA players, we play in the summer here in the WNBA. Mm-hmm. Then about 2 weeks after our WNBA season, I would say 90% of WNBA players go play overseas for a team of their choosing. But in those particular leagues, I played all over. I played in Turkey, Russia, France, Italy. I played all over, Australia, Israel. it has that exact rule that you're talking about in there. If a team is in the bottom place multiple years, or even sometimes in some leagues, the bottom place team drops down because the team at the top place of the league under it, the developmental league, the number one team goes to the big league. So this is a different concept, I think, for Americans, but in Europe, I've known that ever since I played 11 years. I started playing 11, 12 years ago in Europe, and that's the case. So that's a very real thing. Like, you have to earn your keep in the big leagues in Europe.
Now, what's very interesting to me, this is slightly off topic, but something I've noticed, I think, and other people have noticed this, is it's very interesting that in America, where we have an extremely capitalist society, government-run healthcare is very hard to get. Socialism is decried, or any kind of like government-run anything. The safety net is extremely thin here in America. At the same time, our sports is extremely socialist. Revenue sharing, no relegation, teams sharing money, taxes on the teams that are in the most.
Yeah.
And then you look at Europe, which come from these very social democratic societies that have government-run healthcare, many of them, and very strong social safety nets. They have this extremely ruthless system where it's like you earn what you keep or else you're freaking out. So this is very interesting. I should also say that a lot of the questions have been like, where's this money coming from? Where's this money coming from that these teams are immediately going to get this 300 million, 400 million share of this extreme pie? So funding is being provided by JP Morgan Chase, the bank. The terms are not disclosed. We have no idea like what the actual terms of this are, but it seems like at least in part of the rush to get this news out, to get this announcement out, is whatever the structure of that JP Morgan deal is, because they need to secure a television deal like as soon as they can in order to secure that $4 billion in
that bag
funding.
That was dropped on them. Yeah.
Enormous bag.
Yeah, now they got to go meet their deliverables. And what I mean by that is, if anytime somebody gives you money, a company, a sponsor, then you, the person that they're giving it to, you have deliverables that you have to hit. They probably said, we want TV contracts. We want this to be premiered here. We want X amount of players, X amount of teams. So they got the bag. What we understand now is they must have secured the bag because now they're coming for the deliverables.
The other interesting thing about this is who knows what the actual response would be once this league launches. What we know right now is it is being reacted to with like extreme anger by fans, by the people who run teams, by the people who run leagues. It like the Spurs fan account, fan group tweeted, "This is a betrayal of Tottenham Hotspur." An Arsenal fan group said, "The death of Arsenal as a sporting institution." The leader of UEFA called one of the movers and shakers behind this a snake who lied to his face. The German team, Borussia Dortmund, issued a pretty strong statement, kind of like standing away from it. So there is a lot of toxicity.
So wait, the fans of the teams moving into the Super League are mad too?
Yeah, they're mad too, because it would devastate their domestic league. Like the domestic league would lose value. And in their minds, this is all, the other part of this is, in their minds, there's a strong rejection of the appearance of greed in European football. So the Glazers, for instance, who have owned Manchester United for quite a while now, the fans of Manchester United freaking hate the Glazers because from their point of view, the Glazers bought Manchester United just as a money-making machine. They bought it with a lot of debt. They've had to service that debt, which means they can't improve the team because they're paying down the debts all the time. And then you see Manchester United kind of like falling from the heights that it had reached over the last 20 years. It's a similar story with Arsenal, with a lot of these other teams. So a lot of this is just fans reacting to what they perceive, and what really is, as a greed-driven money grab by owners who don't who many of them don't actually care about the sport, American owners. Like, this is going to be painted, particularly in England, as an American-driven strategy that is going to destroy football. And you're already seeing that kind of conversation taking place, even though Florentine Perez, who runs Real Madrid, is one of the movers and shakers behind this and is Spanish. But this is going to be painted as a primarily American-driven thing. We'll be right back after this ad. Takeline is brought to you by Theragun. Don't let the stress of daily life weigh on your body, whether you're an elite athlete or someone like me, who is a super duper elite athlete, just trying to make it through the day tension-free. Theragun can help. Theragun is the handheld percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combo of depth, speed, and power, and it's as quiet as an electric toothbrush. The Generation 4 Theragun doesn't just feel good, it gets to the source of the pain by releasing tension using Theragun's signature percussive therapy, which goes 60% deeper than vibration alone. Whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out, or from an injury, or just from the stresses of everyday life, there's no substitute for the Theragun Generation 4. The OLED screen and design make you feel like you're holding something from the future. Just go to their site and check it out, and the Theragun app learns from your behaviors and suggests guided routines. Theragun is trusted by 250 sports teams like Real Madrid, soon to join the Super League, and elite athletes like Paul George, DeAndre Hopkins, Maria Sharapova, and hundreds of thousands of customers, and me. Try Theragun for 30 days starting at only $199. Go to Theragun.com/Takeline right now and get your Generation 4 Theragun today. Theragun.com/Takeline.
With Kevin Durant's thigh injury over the weekend, it might be time to revisit the conversation of whether or not players are being forced to play too many games too quickly. You know, there's a lot of chatter about injuries being up this season, and one in which the players controlling their destinies has been highly scrutinized. But are we there's a lot of conversation now. There was a list of players that were injured over the weekend, and a list of, let me just not even say players, because that list didn't include all players. It was a list that included the superstars of teams that were injured right now. And your list, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard had left the game. We know Kevin Durant. The list is long of players that are hurt. So are you buying this theory that the truncated season is leading to a rash of injuries? Is that is that a thing now? Jamal Murray is one of them, a big one that people have talked about.
And thankfully, his injury is not as serious as it appeared in the moment.
Yeah.
I think that there's no way. Clearly, the schedule, the compressed schedule, has to play some kind of role. You think about LeBron James, who just got done with the bubble, and then seemingly the next week would have to report to this season, right? That is extreme wear and tear.
Remember how mad people were when the Lakers almost boycotted the start? I can remember, because the teams that made it to the championship, the Lakers were very outspoken about, we don't have a long enough break. And then I'm going to throw something else in there. I don't know if people remember about All-Star. Remember how all the athletes were acting about All-Star? They didn't want to play. They said they would rather a break. They need a break. And now we're looking, and we're sitting in April heading into, with the Hawks, we have 15 games left until the end of the season, and a lot of the stars are hurt.
Yeah, and rest and load management has been such a for lack of a better word, loaded term over the last couple of years of NBA play, with players sitting out in order to protect their bodies on the second night of back-to-backs, and weeks when they play 4 games in a week or 3 games in a week. Listen, there must be some kind of correlation. At the same time, it's hard to draw a concrete line and say, yes, definitely, this truncated schedule is playing a role, right? So, Jamal was out for several days with the knee injury. Anthony Davis is kind of injury prone. LeBron James is 36. There's a lot of caveats in there. That said, I guess I'll just say, Kevin Durant is a player who gets a lot of criticism for joining a super team. He joined a Warriors team that won 73 games, right? and people still gave him shit for it all the time on social media and everywhere,
Yeah, definitely.
saying he's soft, he didn't need to do that, you know, like they could have won anyway, blah blah blah. I'll just say that the injury, particularly to Jamal Murray, I think should tell you how hard it is. Even they were a front runner to win the title. Like, they were among the teams, the handful of teams that you would say, I think they could win the title, right? The way they were playing post the Aaron Gordon trade, the way Jokic is playing all season, Jamal Murray putting it together, they looked really, really good. I think, and listen, you tell me if I'm wrong, I think if you have the chance to improve your chances to win a title, you do it. And you do whatever it takes to do that. If you're a front office, that means you trade away any of the assets, draft picks, etc., that you have to trade in order to give yourself the best chance to win a title. And if you're a player, that means joining a team where there are already really good players, because I just think it's too hard to do anyway. You have to get so lucky. Look at the Warriors now. It's like they're basically throwing away one of the greatest Steph Curry years ever. And that's not a knock on them. Like, the Wiseman pick has not panned out. They're hit by injuries. He's hurt now.
Rookie of the year, yeah.
But and obviously he's hurt. But they had trouble working him into the system. Clay out for the season. All these little things that are just basically up to luck. What it can easily turn against you, no matter how much talent is on your team. And I just think, just win the title. Just do what you can to win it, and who cares about the criticism? That's what I mean. What do you think?
I mean,
as a two-time champion,
in sports, yeah, no, injuries happen in sports. That's a given. But what's happening this year for the NBA, I don't think is normal. I mean, you take Josh Hart, who said too many players are getting hurt with this shortened season. We need to not do this again. And then you even have people on the other side of it. You talked about a general manager of an ESPN of a team told ESPN playing every other day for 6 weeks is a problem. Yeah, I mean there's other people. Another GM chimed in. The whole 2-year period will have marked like a long-term effect on players down the line. Sure. Like, they're talking about not even this year. So I think that we can all understand there was a reason that the players were complaining before the season even started, because see, now we're having this conversation towards the end. Players, we know our bodies, we know science and how it works with our bodies. So the point that GM's trying to make, I've been covering the Hawks games. I'm tired. I say this all the time when I'm driving to a game. I drive to the game and I'm like, yo, I'm tired. I can't imagine the players playing. Like, I've lost my voice half the time now. Like, I don't really have a voice, but that's just me calling the games knowing that this is crazy. There's a week where we literally have 4 games in a 7-day period. Like, that's wild. Players are going to get hurt, of course. So then when we see 4 ACL tears this year, and we see different things happening, athletes, GMs, anybody that knows sports knows that this is not normal, and no, we should not do this again. So to that point, we always know every season, like every athlete knows it takes skill set, of course, but it also always takes a little bit of luck to win a championship. Every athlete knows that. But what's happening this year, no, I don't think is normal.
Yeah, it's really troubling. Hopefully we don't see any more injuries, and hopefully the NBA lightens up in terms of rest. That doesn't seem to be the case. They recently fined the San Antonio Spurs $25,000 for violating league rules, resting players. DeMar DeRozan, Patty Mills, Jakob Poeltl were 3 players who were all listed out for rest. And of course, this has been an issue in the past, particularly when games in which players were resting, I'm looking at you, Kawhi Leonard, fell on nationally televised games. Then it became a much larger story with pundits and often like game day analysts talking about, what a slap in the face it is to fans who want to tune in and to watch the game, and how it really hurts the game in general. I'll just say that all of that made sense before the pandemic, before the disruptions, before the bubble, before this season got slammed right into the end of the bubble season, with the extremely truncated and compressed schedule in the back half of this season, with the Miami Heat played 27 games in 51 days, which is the longest streak, with only 1 day of rest between those 27 games. That's the longest
listen
streak
to that.
since 2011.
27 games in 51 days. Like, I don't imagine having to work out that much, because like for the common person, like your body needs time to recover. And look, I get what the NBA was trying to do. They were trying to have the schedule complete because, like, what effect will this have on our Summer Olympics? We play in Tokyo this year. A lot of the superstars are like bandaging up injuries, but what effect will that have when the Olympics is slated to start July 21st? I mean, our players are going to be healthy by then. Our heavy hitters going to be able to play.
Let me ask you this, because it's something I've been thinking about, and I saw Dragonfly Jones on Twitter tweet about this. Do you think the style of modern basketball in the W and in the NBA, I'm not going to say increases the chances of injury, but is more strenuous on players than it has been maybe 15, 20 years ago? There's so much react and recover. There's so much more space and so much more, area to cover now because of the way the three ball and the way the game is played. Do you think that it's a more strenuous game just aerobically than it was maybe 20 years ago?
Yeah, and I say this and I use it with football all the time because when you're comparing, you have to compare apples to apples. And right now, athletes in general, whether they're men or women, are bigger, faster, stronger than they were in the past. And so the way I equate it to people is, imagine two cars crashing and they're going 2 miles per hour, and imagine two cars crashing and they're going 15 miles per hour each. There's going to be a bigger impact when you can go faster, jump higher, and you're stronger. When you're competing against those people, there's going to be an impact. When, especially in football, people are running as fast as cars these days. It's really wild. I know people have probably seen those workouts where an athlete is running 15 miles per hour legit. Like, it's wild. Like, people are moving the same as automobiles and different things of that nature. So, yes, that has a bigger effect on your body. And also, another thing is that players are starting a lot younger, training a different way. Like, I was playing basketball young, but even in high school, we weren't hitting the weight room like kids are now. Like, kids are coming to college looking like baby beast out there, and it's like, whoa, like, what in the world? So I think everything's different now, just how we train, how we approach the game, the nutrition factor to why athletes are bigger, faster, stronger. I think it's all different, and we should take all of that into account because, like I said, if two cars are crashing and they're going 1 mile per hour, you'll be all right. But when those cars are moving, like athletes are moving, there's going to be some impact.
Yeah, to your point about working out, imagine working out with 1 day of rest for 27 times over 51 days.
Crazy.
It's like, the other thing is, like, it's not just like working out. Like, listen, if I'm working out, I might take a set off. I might be like, okay, I'm going to rest this. I'm going to take an extra rest set. When you're in a game, it's top speed, top effort. Every minute, every second you're out there, or you're getting yanked.
And let me ask you this, Jason. Imagine you're a Knicks fan, right? So imagine if Julius Randle just was like, you know what, I'm gonna go half speed today. My body's not there. Imagine you, the fan, watching that.
I go crazy.
Nobody's here for that. Nobody's here for. Nobody, like, Jason, what would you do if you saw half of the Knicks team going half speed because they needed to maintain their body? They felt like they could get hurt today. They don't have it in the tank.
Well, believe me, I've seen it so many times over the previous 20 years.
Right, maybe that's a bad example. Maybe you guys are used to it.
Yeah, watching this team play hard is, believe me, I'd appreciate it every second, every game I'm watching it. I'm like, wow, I can't believe this. Julius Randle, he looks like he plays like a dad who just got home from a double shift. And even though he is so tired, he is still going to mow the lawn. He is still going to play with the kids. He is still going to help them with their homework. He looks, I've never seen a guy look so tired who plays with so much energy.
You know what? I'm so glad you said this because I went on a rant. It was actually last playoffs because I said, fans need to understand, no one's watching you at work. If you're not performing well, there's nobody like tweeting you when you get home from work like, hey man, you had a bad day today. You cost me a lot. Like, there's no one doing that. And also, there's no one taking into account that, like, I know every human has woken up one morning and been like, man, I'm tired today. I don't really have it. Like, everyone has done that, but athletes, like, we just really don't have that luxury. Like, I told people, like, when I'm working now, I work like, I'm in corporate world, so it's a whole different world, and I forget, like, you get days off and you can like have a sick day, and I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't even know those luxuries, because in athletics, if you show up and you're on the court, no one cares. Not one fan in the world is going to be like, oh yeah, maybe Renee woke up today with a little headache, but she's playing through it. No one cares. And so I say that to say, we have to kind of think of the athletes, like, when it comes to the leagues, and we're talking about the moves leagues are making, you have to put the athletes first, because the athletes are going to have to be the ones that put themselves out there to be judged, to be scrutinized, to be hurt. And so somebody needs to be looking out for the athlete.
Well said, Renee. The WNBA draft was last Thursday. As luck would have it, my co-host, Renee Montgomery, is, along with being a two-time WNBA champion, a co-owner of the Atlanta Dream, who selected tournament standout Aari McDonald with their pick, the third pick in the draft. Renee, can you bring us into the draft room, into the deliberations behind the scenes, how y'all came up with that pick and your other picks? Like, what were the conversations?
Yeah, a lot of the work happens before you actually get to the war room. I mean,
I love it, the war room.
Yeah, the war room is like basically where everything plays out, and then you have to like move whatever ideas you had around. But before the draft, me along with the ownership group, we had a lot of different communications on what we wanted it to look like, what we wanted it to be like. And then we actually had a call with the coaching staff where Larry pretty much let everyone know the ownership group's thoughts and what we felt about, what's going on this draft. And so for me, it was exciting because I was used to seeing things from a whole nother side. And so to be, behind the scenes and talking with Larry and Suzanne about what's going on, and then, getting on the call with the coaches, that was fun. That was fun. It was different. But like I said, a lot of this stuff, like by the time we got to the war room, everyone kind of knew already what was going to happen. So it was exciting.
For yourself, do you have like a particular strategy in terms of like, do you draft for talent? Do you draft for position? I guess, for the Dream, it was different. You could use talent in a lot of places, but like, what do you prioritize?
I think we're a very hands-on ownership group in a sense of, Larry, he's sending a lot of emails. Suzanne and I are talking to Larry and talking about everything going on. But then you also want to empower your coaches to make decisions. Yeah. So like I said, it was a lot of behind the scenes and then saying, okay, coaches, what do you guys want? And I think it's the best fit for your team as well as best talent available. You're not going to, even if, for example, what I mean by that is some teams, like if you need a point guard, but the best player ever is a 2 guard right now coming out of the draft, right, well, you might want to get the best player. So it was that dance. We were the number 3 pick. So we knew that there were 2 picks above us, with which Dallas had both of those picks. And we kind of already knew who they were going to take. So we knew that, with Aari McDonald, I mean, no one can doubt her heart. And no one can doubt her drive for the game. And so I feel like with a pick like that, you can't go wrong.
How much did her tournament performance play into the decision? Obviously, she was one of the, most iconic players of the tournament. Just incredible shot making, incredible heart.
Yeah.
Just...
all
shot
of the
after
above.
shot,
Yeah.
all of the above. Like, at what point did she emerge as the consensus pick?
Well, I think that she killed it in the tournament, to your point. I think if you would have done a mock draft going into the NCAA tournament, there's no way she would have been at number 3. I just think that, she played herself into that, and kudos to her because she's already been having a great season before the tournament. So let me just make sure I say that. She's already been playing great, but when you perform and you perform at a high level on the biggest stage, you're going to get a lot of heads turning. You're going to get a lot of people looking, and not for nothing, I was a big fan of Adia Barnes anyway, because she was a coach that was being a mom, doing all the things that we know. We talked about it here on the show, a former athlete. So when they knocked us out, Arizona took us out. And so it was tough, but I also got to see, Arie McDonald on playing against what was at that time considered the number one team, So I got to see her against good competition. And for me, that was exciting to see how she handled the moment.
Well, congratulations. Huge player for y'all, and can't wait for the season to start. Really excited. Hopefully my Liberty can win more than 2 games.
Oh Lord, I forget that you're all New York. I forget it's the Knicks
Sabrina
and the Liberty
coming
for
back.
you.
Sabrina's
coming back. New York made a lot of moves. New York, not for nothing, made a lot of moves. So it's one of those teams where you have to see how. You have to see how they put it together.
Renee, how have things changed since you were drafted by the Lynx compared to now?
Well, social media wasn't as heavy as it is now. Of course, it was a thing, but now social media is like a lifestyle. And so for me, I just know that people want to see your reaction to what happens in real life, like IRL. So I just made sure for all of our draftees that I sent out a tweet welcoming them to the team, telling how excited I am, because I just know, like, for young kids, it's crazy. Like, I know that for young kids, that's a big deal. So I wanted to let all of the players that we drafted know it's a big deal, that we feel that it's a big deal. We're drafting you, and we want you to feel like it too. So kind of a different world, because that wasn't a thing. Like, I was not checking any social media after I was drafted. I was calling my family and texting them. I mean, my parents were there, but yeah, it's a new world now. It's kind of crazy because I'm really not that old, but when stuff like that happens, it makes me feel old. I'm like, dang, that's crazy.
Okay, Renee, I have to talk about this. So, the Knicks beat the Pelicans the other day, which is great. 6-game winning streak, which it's been a while since that happened. Knicks defense remaining good, despite the fact that they have one of the most difficult schedules in the NBA over the back half of the season. Fantastic. So happy that this is happening. Now, RJ Barrett, who is having a great season himself, was, of course, Zion Williamson's teammate at Duke. And Zion was asked about playing in the Garden, and let me tell you, he was extremely happy about it. He was extremely effusive in his praise.
When I played here in college, and this is my first time playing here in the pros, and I mean, this atmosphere, whether they're cheering for you, whether they're booing for you, it's amazing. Honestly, I think outside of New Orleans, obviously, I think this might be my favorite place to play outside of New Orleans. I can't even lie to you. I can't lie to you.
Wow! Okay, Renee.
Listen, you can hear the smile. Like, I could hear him smiling.
Huge.
It's crazy. Look, if I'm the Pelicans, Swin Cash, the homie. Oh my goodness, Swin Cash. Y'all better keep an eye on Zion, because it sounded like he was very excited about MSG and the Knicks, and woo.
So, great point. Listen, I'm not gonna I posted a thing about this on Twitter, and people were like, he's not coming. Like, this is the same thing that, like, LeBron and KD and Kyrie have done in the past, where they've used the Knicks as leverage in order to
fans
get
are
more
hurt.
of what they want. I'm not like getting crazy about Zion to New York. Yes, I am. All of which is to say, several weeks ago, JJ Redick caused quite a stir when he went on his podcast and talked about his experience being traded from the Pelicans to the Mavericks, and what he felt was kind of dishonesty on the part of the Pelicans front office and David Griffin. He said, in part, this is quoting now from the podcast, he said, but in terms of this front office, it's not something where I would expect certainly the agents that I work on this with to ever trust that front office again. Now, why is this important? JJ's agents work for CAA. Zion Williamson's agents are also at CAA. Now, different agents, not the same agents, but it is well known within the sports world and within the media world in general that CAA often coordinates their plans. They use the leverage that they have as this massive agency to extract things for their clients. So when JJ said this, he was speaking to the Pelicans, absolutely sending them a message about Zion.
Is that a threat?
I mean, he was doing that. Like, this is not, obviously I'm reading into it, but like, JJ is a veteran. He knows what he's doing. So when Zion co-signed the other night by essentially saying, I would love to play in the Garden, it hit differently in the context of these JJ comments. Would you say that like picture of CAA, would you say that that's accurate, that they coordinate and use their size to create leverage?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of companies that do. I can think of plenty other ones that do it. CAA is just so good at it because they have such good clients. It's the one we know about the most. But honestly, they all do it. So yes, when JJ Redick said that, I remember when he said that, and I was just like, huh, okay. But when I saw Zion Williamson, and while Zion might not have even thought anything about what JJ said, he might not have even ever heard it, but just his actions made everybody be like, uh-oh. I said, Swing Cash, y'all better keep an eye on y'all's young bull.
Well, that's it for us this week. Please follow and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Do not forget to subscribe to Takeline Show on YouTube for exclusive video clips from this episode, including Mero's incredible run on Take Survivor this week, plus my digital series, All Caps NBA, which airs every Friday. Check it out. Goodbye, everybody.
Who runs the world? Girls. Let's go.